Do mountain bikers need to know how to jump? Are you a subpar mountain biker if you don't know how to jump? That's going to be the topic in this discussion style video. So what spurred me to make this video is something that happened to me about a week and a half ago, and that is I cased my front tire on a double and went over the bars and landed on my back pretty hard. Fortunately, a lot of soreness was the only thing that happened. It could have been much worse. Now, the reason that this happened is because I was stupid and did not progress into the jumping. So I immediately hit a double and the takeoff was really steep. And I have a mental block now with jumps that have a steep ramp, a steep takeoff, especially if there's a gap in between. Now let's backtrack just a little bit. Back to my BMX days where I used to jump quite a bit. I used to hit doubles at full speed in races and clear them. I used to hit step-ups and clear them in races at full speed. And I did a lot of jumping on tracks that we built in the neighborhood. That was a while ago. And as I progressed through the sport of mountain biking, we didn't have YouTube where you could go on and watch people jump and know what was possible on a bike. Also, as I progressed over the years in mountain biking, I didn't have access to jump tracks that are becoming more prolific today. And we certainly didn't have bike parks like Keystone and Whistler. So naturally, my skill set developed more into cross-country racing, trail riding, cyclocross racing. Those are the things that I really love about cycling, the things that I've really come to enjoy. Now, when it comes to drops, I'm very comfortable doing drops, 5, maybe even up to 8 or 10 foot drops. More roller style jumps, especially tabletops, I'm comfortable with those, but the steep takeoffs, those are the ones that get me. I'm also very comfortable on technical terrain. I've ridden Keystone Bike Park, the double black diamonds there, Keystone's in Colorado, and I was very comfortable on really steep rocky stuff. I even did the corkscrew where if you go off one side, you're pretty much toast. So after this incident, I really kind of pondered what I wanted to do in terms of jumping. And what I concluded is, personally for me, I don't care a whole lot about progressing as far as jumping. Now, nothing sells bike magazines or makes good videos than someone doing a massive jump or a massive whip. But I would say that's probably beyond the skill set that most of us have as mountain bikers. So the beauty of cycling is that you can take the time to progress in the things that are important to you. Personally, for me, I don't want to jeopardize what I love about cycling, and that is getting outside and riding trails or riding gravel roads or preparing for races. If you really want to progress in more gravity style riding, then you're going to have to accept the fact that crashing is a part of it, and it may take you off the bike for a while. Fortunately, I was only off the bike for a day or two when this crash happened. I could have been off the bike for 6 months had I broken a collarbone or a wrist. Now my son, he loves gravity style riding. He loves jumping and he's progressing really quickly. Now if you're wanting to really do big tricks, you know, I'm talking backflips, tail whips, not only is practice very important, but I personally think there are some genetics involved as well. For example, I watched a documentary on Shaun White years ago, Shaun White the snowboarder, and in the documentary, it talked about, I think they either call it spatial intelligence or spatial awareness. I'll call it spatial awareness, but it's a development in his brain that is almost off the charts. In other words, when he's in the air, completely upside down and twisted, he knows exactly where he's at, and he can land on his feet most of the time. I don't have that. When I do a flip on a trampoline or off a diving board, I don't know where I'm at. I just rotate and hope my feet land first. My son, on the other hand, he can do a backflip on the trampoline with a double twist. He knows exactly where he's at and he can land it perfectly. He has that skill set. Genetically, I have a fairly high VO2 max, and that's helped me in racing. But my point is, if you want to progress in jumping, there are several factors that are going to take you to the place where you become really good as a jumper. And like I mentioned earlier, development is also very important. You need to learn how to progress into jumping so you're not hitting a double with a big gap in between before you progressed into that. And coincidentally, I just watched a video on Lone Ranger's channel where he talked about, where actually his wife talked about progressing into jumping, and it was really well done, and you should watch that if you're interested in this topic. So back to the original question that I posed. Do you need to know how to jump as a mountain biker? To need to know how to do big, massive tricks off of trick booters, no, you don't need to do that unless that's something you want to progress into. I do think there are some skills you need to develop as a trail rider, and I dare say that most people watching this video that are mountain bikers, trail riding is probably your main thing. You need to know how to bunny hop. You're going to be coming on a section where there's a log, and you got to learn how to bunny hop a log. You do need to know how to do 1, 2, maybe 3 foot drops. You might be on a trail where it drops off a little bit and you don't want to go nose heavy. So learning how to progress into drops, I think, is an important skill as a trail rider. Something else that I want to mention before I wrap up this video is, as cyclists, we need to learn to respect the skill sets that other riders have. The person who won the DK200, the gravel event in Kansas this year, averaged over 20 miles an hour for 200 miles on gravel roads. Now, if you don't ride gravel, you may not be able to comprehend that, but just trust me, that's crazy. Now, I have just as much respect for that athlete as I do for the athlete that won Crankworx. It's different skill sets. It's different disciplines that these riders have focused on. And just because someone can't do tail whips or backflips doesn't mean that they're less of a rider if they focus more on, let's say, cross-country mountain bike racing. So I'd love to know your thoughts on this topic. Drop those in the comments below. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so and hit the bell icon so you're notified of future videos that I make of bike reviews, bike maintenance, trail reviews. And finally, if you'd like to support the channel, become a Patreon, which I'm going to be ramping up in the very near future. And I'll put that link below. Thanks for watching.